every message you send, every video you stream, every click, search, and digital transaction. All of it flows through a global system so vast and invisible that we rarely stop to ask a simple question. How did this networked world come to exist? Most people assume the internet was an inevitable product of Silicon Valley ingenuity, a purely Western invention that grew naturally from universities and startups. But history tells a more surprising story. In the mid-20th century, two rival superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, independently began imagining something radical, a nation-spanning computer network capable of moving information faster than people, paper, or politics ever could. One of these efforts would succeed, evolving into the internet that now connects billions. The other would nearly vanish from public memory, remembered only by technologists like us. In this documentary series of 2 parts, we'll uncover a forgotten technological race. This video, which is part 1, takes us to Soviet Union, where a brilliant mathematician proposed something astonishing, a nationwide digital network called OGAS, designed to connect factories, ministries, and planners in real time, decades before the modern internet. And we'll explore why this ambitious system, despite being technologically sound and boldly visionary, ultimately failed. In the part 2, the story shifts westward, to the United States, where a very different project, funded by the Department of Defense and built by researchers and universities, quietly gave birth to ARPANET. We'll examine how funding structures, institutional culture, and decentralization allowed ARPANET to grow, adapt, and eventually become the backbone of the modern internet. Let's begin. In the early 1960s, at the height of the Cold War, the Soviet Union was obsessed with mastery, of industry, of space, and of computation. Soviet theorists saw information technology as the key to transforming the very engine of their planned economy. At the center of this grand vision stood one man, Viktor Mikhailovich Glushkov, a mathematician, cyberneticist, and one of the most brilliant minds behind Soviet computing. He believed that computers could do more than crunch numbers. They could connect people, factories, ministries, and entire regions in real time. In 1962, Glushkov proposed something extraordinary, a nationwide computer network designed to automate information flow and economic planning across the USSR. He called it OGAS, the All-State Automated System. This was a project of the post-Stalin era. At its heart was a revolutionary idea, a 3-tier network with a central hub in Moscow, hundreds of mid-level nodes in major cities, and tens of thousands of terminals reaching factories, ministries, and production centers. Unlike the world's paper-driven planning bureaucracies, OGAS was meant to connect, exchange, and manage data in real time, using existing telephone infrastructure, an information backbone that could theoretically knit together the sprawling Soviet economy. In his blueprint, OGAS could even facilitate electronic payments, hinting at a moneyless economy guided by data feedback loops rather than paper ledgers and manual quotas. If realized, OGAS would be, by far, the largest information network in the world, predating the internet as we know it. So why didn't it happen? Why did this visionary project fade into history? The story of OGAS isn't a tale of technological failure. Rather, it was defeated by bureaucracy, turf wars, and institutional fear. When Glushkov finally presented his full funding request, an enormous sum equivalent to hundreds of billions of modern dollars, in 1970, the Soviet leadership declined to provide the resources. Key ministries, threatened by the loss of their historical roles, resisted. For many bureaucrats, a central network that could track and manage economic data meant a loss of power, a redefinition of who held information and who wielded it. At a crucial meeting in the Kremlin, Glushkov's chief supporters, including the country's premier and general secretary, were mysteriously absent, leaving opponents free to scuttle the plan. OGAS was authorised at the 24th Congress of the Communist Party in 1971, but without funding or institutional support, it was a paper tiger. Later efforts, like the EGSVD and Akademset academic network, wove small threads of connectivity, but nothing matched Glushkov's grand vision. By the time the Soviet Union dissolved, the possibility of a unified national network had evaporated, leaving behind only fragments of what could have been one of the earliest digital superstructures the world had ever seen. In the next video, which is the part 2 of this series, we'll examine the factors that allowed ARPANET to grow, adapt, and eventually become the backbone of the modern internet.